Good morning from beautiful Waynesville, North Carolina, down here at Crompton's Auto Mart. And guess what we're doing before we start the show? I'm drinking me a great cup of house blended orchard coffee. Jonathan, what are you drinking, son?
A lot of orchard coffee today.
A lot of orchard. I
A
think he's
lot.
on his third or fourth. Good morning, Chuck. Good morning, Coach. How are you?
I'm doing well.
I'm doing well this morning. Just I'll be doing a lot better in about 10 minutes.
Oh man. Long kind of long night last night, longer than we thought. We thought it was going to be over pretty quick, but with the way the game started. Big win for the Mountaineers. McDowell came in with a definite game plan. They wanted to keep the ball out of our hands and did a really good job early. And made some halftime adjustments. Came out and played really well. Big 44-22 win for Tuscola. Go to 2-1 on the year. Final non-conference game next week against Swain County. And when you say when you talk about Swain County, the first thing you think about is football. The same thing when they say Tuscola High School. Mostly people think about football initially. So anyway, good morning, men. Good win last night. Good to have Chuck down in the stadium. And anyway, Chuck, I'll throw it over to you and Jonathan for a little bit and kind of talk about.
Well, real quick, I had to, so everybody knows, we're walking on the field for pregame warmups, and I get a random, I wouldn't say heckler. It was a heckler with a compliment at the same time of my tennis shoes. I don't know if it was sarcastic or not. So I had to call my dad. I'm like, hey, who's that with you up there? Going to find out it was Mr. Chuck, the Godfather.
I love your shoes. You look good in the coaching clothes.
Because I couldn't tell because I was looking up in the sun. I was like, who in the world's out here screaming at me on their sideline? Not on their sideline, but in their stands. I said, what's going on? So I had to run back in the locker room real quick. So I called Dad. I was like, is that you guys? He's like, yeah, that's Chuck. I was like, what is Chuck doing here? So I mean, it was awesome. It was awesome to see you last night, genuinely.
Well, I appreciate that. You were walking across the field, and it was a motivation ploy out of my part. You had your shoulders slumped down, and it's like the world and the weight of the world was all on your shoulders. And I just wanted to pick you up and let you know we were behind you, and you looked good.
Well, I appreciate that. We can always use a pick me up, every now and then. That's for sure.
There you go.
All right. So, McDowell, let's talk about the football game here real quick, guys. McDowell came in with a definite game plan, and they absolutely wanted to keep the ball out of the Mountaineers' offensive hands.
Yeah.
They won the coin toss and elected to receive. And immediately, the people in the stands, because we were on the other side because we had done our pregame show from there. And real quick, Joe Cash, the athletic director over at McDowell County, what a great guy. And he treated Chuck, Mike, and I like we owned the building. And so,
I'm glad you said that's something I actually talked to Coach Brewer, their coach, about after the game. I said, man, the hospitality by their whole staff was second to none. Anything we needed, all we had to do was ask. So that was a very, I wouldn't say like encouraging because, they've been around the block a time or two in the profession of high school sports, but they were awesome to us, treated us with respect, treated us with class, from top to bottom. It didn't matter if it was a starter or somebody that was injured or whatnot, trying to get in the locker room. They made sure they had the door propped open for us before we got there. So they, I appreciate that from them. I'd play them every year if we could.
Okay. So anyway, Chuck, that when they elected to receive the kickoff immediately, even their folks were going, I don't understand. But we kind of understood
Right.
what it was. And I'm going to throw it over to you and kind of go through that first drive there, Chuck, and you and Jonathan can talk about our guys kind of getting established defensively because they kind of came out and laid the wood to us for a minute.
Well, and again, it was a Temple thing. It was sending a message how we're going to play this football game. And John and Coach Crompton, did you expect that formation, that system of what they came out and kind of manhandled a little bit of the line?
Well, yeah. Well, one, excuse me. There's a chance that I'm gonna have to rethink my normal strategy of deferring, because if you look, there's a trend, and it's going to happen when we get into conference play as well. Of people trying to play ball control and hold the ball and snap the ball with, under 5 seconds every time, stay in bounds to keep our offense off the field. Hey, strategy. Can't blame somebody for game planning too. So I may have to rethink my strategy of wanting to defer, even though we didn't win the toss, but still, to make sure that we can try to get started fast as well, because it's one of our big strengths. So, but we knew, we talked as a coaching staff, hey guys, we want to defer. If they get the ball, we know they're going to play ball control, but just from the system that they run. They did add a few little wrinkles that we knew they were going to, but we didn't, obviously you don't know exactly what. So we try to do our best educated guess of what wrinkle teams can run with the system that they do. And, McDowell, they executed it very well. If you get into they got into a big power, old school 1985 Chicago Bears heavy set, on the goal line, and they did it in the open field. You can't blame them for that. The positive is our kids responded well. They trust us as coaches to end game adjust and put them in the proper position. All we got to do is see it once or twice to make sure that it is what we think it is, and then we can adjust. So our kids, they responded well to that. It's going to be a trend that we're going to get the ball with under 4 minutes to go in the first quarter, because teams are just going to try to 3 yards in a cloud of dust us the rest of the year.
And Chuck, real quick, before you get into the details of the drive, 12-minute quarters in high school football. This was a 7-minute 43-second touchdown drive by them.
Yeah.
So I'll throw it to you. Just want to make sure that you
I saw it that it was 3 yards, 4 yards, 3 yards, 5 yards, that kind of stuff. But I'll tell you what, the game opened with a hit that rattled the back molars, and that was number 61, senior, 6'3", 280, Jackson Sutton. And I mean to tell you, it brought us old men out of our seat. This is the type of game we're going to watch. But defensive front, despite it was a back alley fight with your front, your front on the line against that extra man in the box. I mean, it was just an old-fashioned fight.
It was. It's kind of funny you said that. When I was talking to a couple of their coaches after the game, and they were like, "Coach," and they were being funny and asking it about, why is it always when McDowell and Tuscola play, it almost seems like a backyard brawl, just from the physicality standpoint. And we started kind of giggling about that, because you get two historically hard-nosed teams, right? Just from the tradition of the program, and the kids buy into what you do on all three phases of the ball from both programs. That's what you're going to get. There's a few things that I would like to have back, so to speak, not from our standpoint or their standpoint, but from things that I guess I can't talk about because of the state of North Carolina. I don't want to get in trouble, but
right.
with referees. But there's a few things that I would like to be policed a little more from both sides to keep kids a little safer, right, down the road. But both teams on both sides of the ball played extremely physical and well, and as clean of a game as you can play at 15, 16, 17 years old. You know what I'm saying? When it is a physical game like that, because they got their number one receiver. He's a ball player. I don't care. That kid can play. Their big tight end, 44. He's physical as all get out. Their left tackle can get off the ball. So it was good for us to see that, and it's only going to help us when we get into a deep run in conference, playing these teams these big physical teams and non-conference. So we were up for the challenge, and our guys responded.
Well,
So go ahead, Chuck.
Just quickly, the names: Jackson Sutton on the defensive front, Jackson Sutton, Jesse Bledsoe, a junior, Brian Mishua,
Excuse me.
Gardner. That was your front. You had Hudson Blackburn, who is a ball hawk.
Yes, he is.
Saeed, which we let me tell you what, give me 10 other Hudson Blackburns and you can win a state title with that. That kid will find the football and get there with an ugly attitude. He'll put his number on and tattoo it on the body. I mean, he hits.
Oh yeah, no, that's the fun part about seeing everything kind of come into shape with Coach Chambers and our defensive system. The kids have bought into his vision and his mentality of what he sees and what he wants out of them. And I mean, it's extremely fun because that's if I could tell you how much we put on the kids in as far as the mental side of knowing what to do here, this check and like, I mean, it's not high school level stuff. We'll say it that way. And by God, they handle it well. And they understand it's okay to ask a question to make sure they do get it right. So defensively, man, it's fun to watch our kids fly around. And the fun thing for me, we're only 3 games into this thing. So that's the fun part to me is I'm looking forward to obviously one game at a time, but game 7, 8, 9, and 10 going, dang, look how far we've come defensively or really on the whole team, but just watching the schematics expand here and there. And I think Coach Chambers does a tremendous job of game planning with our defense, understanding how to communicate what he wants with our guys. And they, like I said, they've bought into, we can adjust and change, not just weekly, but daily. That's the fun part.
And Chuck, we made sure last night that we were going down the list in the stands and talking about our kids and making sure that our kids get recognized. So that's going to be a part of what we do. And as we go and we get better at this part, and it's hard for me again, but I'm Coach Crompton. It's really hard for me to say that because he's still the kid that didn't take my trash out. In my mind, hey John, take the trash out when you get home from school. But anyway, I'm so looking forward to having our kids live with us down here. I'm so looking forward to having some of the coaching staff down here on the coaches show on Saturday as we progress through this. So anyway, their game plan, Chuck. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
So they go down the field. They use 7 minutes and change, and you're about ready to get to football. What are you thinking right now at that point when you're down 8-0?
Let's go get the ball and go do what we do. I trust our offense, well, our whole team, but offensively, I trust our guys. I put a tremendous amount on Jed mentally to let him get us in the right play, which it's so fun for me to watch and see it because we talk about it. We watch it on the tape or we talk about it and see it during practice or whatever the situation may be. And the best part is you don't have to mention it twice. That's what's fun for me is he genuinely understands what we're trying to do. In the run game, in the pass game, and play action, and in protections, whatever it is, and can get us in the right situation. He's just an all around. Hey, sorry, hell of a football player. Sorry for the language, but but the best part is our guys have bought into him. All of our players, our offensive line. You can't say enough about what they've done, and I mean, like I said, they know that I'm mess with them. Like you guys, I'm psycho about football. I can't help it. In the middle of the game on the 2 touchdown passes, we don't have that protection. What we do now, we don't have that protection. We on the run added a new play action protection because I know our kids understand our system and they bought in we went to a 2 tailback set, and our 2 tailbacks understood exactly what to do to protect the backside edge off the play action. So that was what was fun for me, because, so like you said, going back to what I was thinking is just go do what we do. We've
Okay,
got the first X amount of plays scripted. I don't waver, and we go and we can try to get the ball in the end zone.
so that goes back to what we were talking about. We get the football and again, I go back to what McDowell. We score in 1:43 seconds and tie the game up. Pretty impressive drive for in 43 seconds. And again, our kids up front established that line.
Yeah, they took it personal. I tell them every day, no matter who we're playing, even if it's against our own guys in practice, take it personal. You got to have that chip on your shoulder, have that little edge. They want to win the line of scrimmage. They want to win the A gap. They want to win the backside B gap, whatever it is, depending on the run play. You got to take it personal, and you got to own it and understand what we're wanting to do schematically. And I mean, it's very hard to have anybody better than Stephen Brooks at the helm of that at center, directing traffic. I mean, I'm not mad at that. We'll say it that way. You know what I mean? I don't think I could have had a better center in there for what we run offensively, with everything we're going to do in the run and pass game to get our guys lined up correctly, or check this or check that, make sure that the double teams or the combo blocks are called out correctly. So I'm ecstatic with what Steven's been able to do offensively for us up front, to, like I said, to get us in the right play. So him and Jed have, I wouldn't say free reign, but they know what I'm looking for in protection and run game. So, I mean, that's the fun part for me, is there's times that I just call a certain type of run, and they go out there and call it for us. That's like I said, we don't treat them like they're 17-year-old high school kids, and they've owned it genuinely. And they're, like I said, they're not afraid to ask questions. So that's where we're in everybody. It doesn't matter if they're the freshman or a senior. We're trying to prepare every kid on our team to want to play collegiate football, or if not, if they want to coach. So we use that saying all the time. We're going to teach, not tell. And they have learned a lot in that way. So that's where I make sure that Jed's in on the meeting with myself of the first X amount of plays scripted, and we kind of talk through it and make sure we're comfortable with what we want to do. And that's where, going back to the question a second ago about what we were thinking, it's just status quo to us at that point, because it's so quote unquote early in the game. Mm-hmm. We just want to see how they're going to adjust. And, kudos to McDowell last night. They switched from a 4-man line all year to a 3-man line. We had a feeling they would do something. I didn't know if they would go to a 3-man line. And so I was asking Coach Chambers during the day on yesterday, I was like, do you really think they're going to do this? I was like, and I told him, I said, I don't think they'll go to a 30 front personally. But the beautiful thing is we played a 30 front a few times already, and we practiced all offseason against it because of Asheville. So it kind of fell into our hands in a good way that they played a 3-man front, because that's what we've been doing a majority of this offseason and then season.
Well, Jonathan, let's take to talk a little bit about, we had mentioned, but Austin Sluter, your offensive line coach, must be proud of this group. Tackle David Bowen, guard Odie Garrido, center aforementioned Stephen Brooks, guard Josh Kruger, who's big as a house, and right tackle Alex Caldwell. Those are the 5 names of these guys that just all night long were in a fight and did such a wonderful job for you. Out of that, talk about your assistant coach, as we mentioned, and we're going to talk today and all throughout the season, but talk about the job your assistant coach, Austin Sluter, is doing with the offensive line.
Well, I mean, one, you can't say enough about it, because he understands what we're doing schematically. But the best thing is, man, we're in a new age. It's called like it is. We're not in the old school, I'm going to beat you down to build you up mindset, right? We don't like when I remember, can't remember the offensive line coach's name when I was a kid at Irwin. He used to take the metal whistle and like pop kids over the helmet with them, trying to get them to pay attention. You could just see their head ringing. We're not in that day and age. So what Coach Sluter does so well is he communicates with the kids. Hey, here's what we're wanting. You're taking these steps, blah, 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 whatever the steps are in practice that they're taking, but it may not be working properly. And he goes, here's how I want you to do it. I want you to do it both ways, and you tell me which one's better. You tell me which one you're more comfortable with and which one we can get to our backside linebacker or scoop block or anything like that, whatever it is. So they understand that it is a quote unquote dictatorship because he's the coach. There's that open line of communication because what he wants is the kid's best interest. And they know that and wholeheartedly believe that. So they play their guts out for him. So during the game, I don't even have to go talk to them. Me and him talk on the headset. He's got them. And it's a big sigh of relief for me to have guys like that at certain positions that you can trust, and the kids trust them. So he's done a tremendous job.
And can I kind of interject? This is not off subject, but it's a little bit because there is a little line that through to, even though you've never really been with Austin, there is a line from Austin. Austin's parents, Lawrence Sluter is Austin's father, and Lawrence's brother is Tim Sluter, who is I'm 61. He's still my quarterback, and the people back in the day, Timothy was the guy. When you were the guy back in the early 2000s, he was the guy in the late 70s. And you and Timothy are close, and it's really cool to see that with the Sluters and that guy. That's really cool because I know Tim's called me a couple of times, and he's jacked up. He's over there selling trucks. I'm trying to beat his butt selling trucks, but he is jacked up about what's happening over here on the hill. But anyway, I had to throw that in about the Sluter family. Yeah, but so the second quarter, I don't want to spend an inordinate amount of time talking about it, but the second quarter just broke down into some other things that hopefully we won't see much anymore. But it was just slobber knocker. They were doing everything.
You talking about me getting flagged?
I'm not trying to. No, I'm just saying it. Just it is what it is.
Well, no. Here's the thing, and I understand what you're saying. I just want to say this real quick. I will never apologize for defending my kids. I'll just say it that way. That's as simple as I'm gonna say it. And I'll repeat that. I will never apologize for defending my kids.
I get it.
Can we talk about the flag or what happened? Or
yeah, I'm fine. I'm 100% fine with it.
I mean, figure out what the issue was.
Yeah, so the issue was, well, one, schematically from McDowell, they did a great job with technically quarterback power left. You could kind of call it a couple different plays all in one, so I'll just say it's quarterback power. Schematically, I think they did well with that. They really did. They set that one up beautifully. And broke a big long run. That's fine. But it is highly, highly illegal, and you're not allowed. Now, I'm going to preface it this way. I understand they're teenagers, so every team eventually does this. We had 2 done in scrimmages that I got on our kids about. I said, we can't do that. It's illegal. You cannot, you can't block back towards the line of scrimmage. Okay. You can't crack block back towards especially when the play's 30 yards downfield, to say it that way. And both of ours this offseason in scrimmages were irresponsible in that sense of their play was 30 yards downfield. So last night was almost a spitting image of that. It was about 25 yards ahead. And one of their kids you could see it on film, kind of looks back and sees one of our players not going to make the play because he's 25 yards past the or behind the play, and just waylays and crackbacks and highly illegal, not far in front of the white hat, and the white hat just lets it go. Once again, I'm never going to apologize defending my kids. I won't. And all I was trying to do is say all, but get his attention and ask him why he didn't throw the flag. And the next thing you know, I'm halfway out on the field. So our line judge even told me, he goes, I threw the flag because I saw you out there. And I said, dude, I get it. I was trying to get his attention to see if he even saw it because my kid's laying on the field. Like that. So once again, I won't apologize. I'm going to go to my grave defending the kids of this game. McDowell played a tremendous game. Once again, they're kids, and we teach them as well as we can. I have the utmost respect for Coach Brewer and McDowell, genuinely. And he's, like I said, I play them every year, so it's nothing he's done at all. Okay. A kid was just being a kid, so I'm not even saying anything about the kid. You got to throw a flag. Okay, it's illegal. That's all I was trying to get him to do. I guess on the optimistic side, I guess it was just a 1 yard penalty because we got him down at the 2 yard line. So that kind of made me feel better.
We mentioned
you feel a little bit better. You know what I mean? Because I thought he scored, and I was like, "What?" They scored, and then they go over to. I was like, "Hold on, can we stop him again?" They're like, "No, he didn't score." I was like, "Yeah, positive penalty there, guys." Being funny, trying to lighten the mood because it was a serious moment at the time, and if I had to do all over again, I probably wouldn't have went as far on the field, but he was refusing to talk to me, and I was just trying to get his attention.
Okay. Hey, you second half, and you're tied 8-8, or second half, the second quarter 8-8, and they have one of those drives again.
Hell yeah! Like I said, they executed their game plan very well for what they wanted to do to hold the ball. They did, genuinely.
So as you finish and go into halftime,
16 all.
It's going to turn into a different second half, but because you outscored McDowell 28-6 in the second half. So obviously you asserted your will, but you also had, your adjustments. And I know you won't talk about the adjustments, but what was the difference between, I'm learning you. I know you're not going to tell me. What is the difference between the second half and the first half?
Emotion. It's probably the easiest way I can say it. Our kids came out, and if you watch the opening kickoff second half, number 3, Bridger Jones, and the kids laugh now and say, "Oh, take it personal," because I tell them that all the time. Like, genuinely take it personal that anybody, even if you're just playing pickup basketball, thinks they're better than you. That's just how my mind works. And side note, a lot of people are better than me at pickup basketball. I'm beat up, but he took it personal, and he set that edge on the kickoff return. And Cooper Williamson tell you this: if I can start every drive on the 27-yard line going in, yeah, I'd love that. It makes my life a lot easier. We'll say it that way. So that set the tone genuinely, and that's what I was hoping would happen. And we're able to go punch it in. And the run game in the second half. So if you ask any of our offensive linemen, they'll tell you my philosophy is I want to get up early, being able by throwing the football, but I want to end it in the trenches. And by God, our kids understood that last night, and we got our double teams going up front, and got to the linebacker and our running backs. We understood at a certain point they were going to bring one more than we could block, but I still wanted to run the ball, so we schematically set it up to where the farthest guy off the edge was coming, and our guys knew if I hit the hole now, he can't get to me. And they did a tremendous job. And blocking for each other. And that was what was so cool for us as coaches. We were talking about on the way back is Cooper Williamson and Gavin Langley, when they're one, it doesn't matter who's in the game. They're cheering the other one on. But when they're both in the game, they don't care who gets the ball by God. They just want to win. And that's what's fun. And they took it that way last night, and they ran their butts off.
Oh, yeah.
Players that came out with a breakout game was your kick returner, Junior Cooper Williams.
Yeah.
He
had a hell of a game last night, but just not. And this is the thing that I love watching from my standpoint is Yeah, I get animated on the sideline. I'm an emotional, fiery person, especially when it comes to football. But Cooper's intensity, and not just Cooper, there was a lot of them, but just the look he had in his eye last night, you could tell he was going to have that type of game, genuinely. And so it's, I mean, like I said, we're in a good situation, depth wise, is where we're at in the season. Obviously, you'd love to be able to say you got 4 deep at every position, but you know what? That's never going to happen at any level of football. But with what we've got, you know, and I feel pretty good. And like I told him pregame, I wouldn't rather go into battle with any other group of kids.
So the short drive, but we ran the ball, and your guys set the tone up front. Go out, play really good defense, get the ball back again, and you're in the you're in the 2-back set that we don't see very often. Run, and then over the top. Talk to us about the long one to ONC, and please help me
Brian.
pronounce his name properly. He's such a great kid, and
I love Brian. Brian's the kid that he doesn't come off the field unless you physically make him come off the field. Side note, it was kind of funny last night. He scores. I was like, "Hey man, I don't need you cramping. I need you next week. You're down. You're out." And he's like, "Coach, I can go." I said, "No, it doesn't matter. You played a hell of a game. You're down. Go." I don't. Positive is you want to be able to say this every week, but you're not gonna be able to say it every week. Go ice your legs. You know what I mean? Go ahead and get ice bags on there. And next thing I know, he's getting an interception. And I looked, I said, "Brian, I just pulled you." And he goes, "Oh, well, Coach Chambers put me in." And I get on the headset. I was like, Chambers. And he goes, "You're welcome." It was just a really funny moment because Coach Chambers didn't hear. I was on the offensive side of the headset. He didn't hear that I'd taken him out. It was hilarious. And Brian, that's the thing is, we got guys that are not going to disrespect our coaches. Coach Chambers told him to put him in, or told him to go in. Instead of him saying, Coach Crompton said no, he just, yes, sir, and just went. You know what I mean? And but it was that honestly, that was the funniest thing last night because I'm standing right beside the interception. I was like, why are you in the ball game? You're not supposed to be here. And he was being funny. He handed me the ball. I was like, Coach Chambers put me in. So, but him being able to go over the top was a product of our offensive line, our running backs doing what they were asked to do in the run game. Excuse me. A combination of inside zone, outside zone, a little quarterback run, and seeing where the secondary is. The beautiful thing about what we've got is we got guys that can take the top off. We've got a quarterback that can throw the ball anywhere he needs to throw it. And we got linemen that can hold up in protection with our tailbacks and or tight ends. So when we start to see certain leverages, I mean, I was fine running the ball the rest of the game in the sense of we were moving the ball. Then when you get certain looks, that's where, and the best part is that play was not on the game plan this week at all. Neither one of the 2 deep balls were on the game plan this week. So them being able to adjust on the fly and us seeing it as coaches, Houston McCracken being in the box going, Coach, hey, corners outside leverage here. They're playing tight to the box, 7-man box. They're bringing pressure. Cool. All right, man, we're good. So the communication was there. And then being able to adjust on the run to get that set up was awesome. And I mean, great protection, steps up in the pocket, lets it go. Bryant runs right underneath it. And then that next drive, we do the same thing with Amos Rich. And that was really fun because, you know, we try to set teams up with certain things we do defensively or offensively, but set their defense up. And our kids come off the field and go, Coach, they're doing this, this, and this. That's when you know they bought in and they understand schematically what we're doing is they're communicating with what the defense is doing. And that's how those 2 plays were set up.
Well, I'll tell you what, it was quite an impressive second half. It's not for saying that the first half was not impressive. It was just 2 different styles of play in first half and the second half. And I think that you got a lot of those unknown guys that are never mentioned played great. The kids on the offensive line that we already mentioned, the kids on the defensive front that played outstanding, because in the second half, there was, for practically the 20, about, what was it, 20 minutes of the second half, the defensive line and the backers set the tone for your defensive side, but your
Yeah.
line,
Well, and the fun part about that is, excuse me, we got a linebacker that was his second varsity game last night, and he's just out there calling the shots and going balls to the wall, full speed ahead. And Carter Purvis, and that was fun watching him grow up in the moment. I mean, he had his big boy game last night.
right.
And as the coach, those are the fun things to see, and being able to talk about those on the ride back, like specific plays for him that we talk about that, like I said, that make you quote unquote grow up and understand. Yeah, you are a young kid, but hey, I can play at this level. You know what I mean? And there was multiple guys doing that. We'll say it that way. We had to throw Bryce Cosby in. A sophomore, he's a starter on our JV, and put him in at nose. And by God, he held his own right out of the gate. So that's encouraging for us to be able to see and do. In the course of the game. Obviously, we would rather not have to do that to burn his 8 quarters throughout the season. But you know what? He was ready to go. We didn't have to find him on the sideline. So, he was there with his helmet on, and that was fun to be able to see young kids step up last night.
Well, I'm real quickly here, Chuck, and I want you to, and everybody watching, pay attention to the lower part of your screen when I do this right now, and watch the man from Winston-Salem who's drinking his Orchard coffee. Watch him go with a massive smile. I have in my little hands right now, I've got some stats, and this goes back. I want to compliment McDowell before I say this, because we did not have the ball a lot of times last night. We rushed for 212 yards, and and everybody goes, "Oh Lord, there's such a passing team." We were 8 for 12. We only got to throw the ball 12 times last night. 8 for 12. Had 157 yards passing, 212 yards rushing. 1 for 1 on fourth down conversions. Got to get a little bit better on our third down conversions, even though they were big. I don't know that 2 for 6 is right. I thought we were a little bit better than that, but
well, I'll just say it this way: to only have 6 third downs in the ball game, that says going back to what we're talking about O-line. That says a lot about the O-line. We didn't have crazy situations. I'll say it that way.
So we only had the ball for 12 minutes last night. So they did, again, kudos to them because they understood they needed that clock to go, and they needed to be in possession of the ball. And I'll throw it over to you, Chuck, with that number.
Yeah, that is telling of the game, because once Tuscola grabbed the game away from McDowell, it changed. I thought they had changed their game plan. In addition, they had lost a quarterback. It was either a lower back they were working on, on his back, it looked like, in the tent. But so everything changed because you seized the game away from them. They couldn't, work that clock because it was not in their advantage to do so. So I thought your kids responded exceptionally well, and who never gets mentioned because, he's got a foot. You just got to find your long snapper. But Christopher Wells started kicking deep. And here's a junior that this kid, we thought, well, look at this. Talk about the young lad.
Yep.
Oh, no, he's done everything he's been asked to do as far as the kicking game. The only reason why we go for 2 right now is because we are down a couple short and long snappers. So it has nothing other to do than that. I mean, honestly. I don't want to put us in a situation that we have to do this or have to do this later in a game, blah, 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 or something happens, somebody get hurt if something happens on a PAT snap. So that's why we go for 2 at the moment. And then punt, I mean, I'm a high risk, high reward guy. If it's 4th and 2, there's a really good chance I'm going to go for it regardless. Depending on where we're at on the field. I mean, but you shake your head. I trust my kids.
I know.
Just what it is. I trust our guys to get the first down and keep the ball in our hands. If the ball's in our hands, we're hard to beat, and that's just what it is. Our kids know that. I know that, but that is not in an arrogant way. That's just because our kids they work their tails off to make sure that everything's done properly. And so once we can get a long snapper solidified, good thing is I've got one of the best long snapping coaches around and Coach McCracken. And I genuinely mean that. We got to get that solidified because I'm not going to put our quarterback out there to do it and risk something crazy happening. Just
Right.
can be honest.
Yeah.
Now, I promise you, he can do it, but I wouldn't put him in. I don't want to put him in that situation. So that's why we did the little like quick kicks last night. Just catch it, kick it, go about our day.
So big win, 44-22. Chuck made it safely back to Winston-Salem. It was a really good drive down on 40 there and back.
Honestly, it's not a bad drive.
No, it's not a bad trip, and what a beautiful place to play a football game.
Going from Winston-Salem to the mountains at that hour is horrible. Every city is back. I'm looking at my GPS, and you see red up ahead of me, and I'm in yellow. There's no blue on 40 going to the mountain, but now coming back, it was
because everybody's trying to come this way. That's why everybody
right.
wants to come enjoy the seasonal mountains and trees here, and then obviously they want to come watch Tuscola football, right? Isn't that why they're coming?
Absolutely. I thought it was a good game, and here's the thing. The development of your team, and I'll say this one thing. We talked about the defensive line, and we put some new names in there. But the standard guys that we talked about in the first 2 games, they had good games. But it's these new guys. All of a sudden, you're having more guys coming in having better, really good games and shining out. And the Jonas Howards, the Gavin Langleys, the Brian Owen-Sias, KJ Vang. These guys had good games.
Yep.
You have guys that we can talk about. Now you're starting to add to the team having more and more guys having great performances.
Oh yeah, and the guy that we haven't mentioned his name yet. In football, there's a term called a dude, like being a dude. One of the dudes on defense is number 19, Saeed Jackson. I mean, holy crap, like that. I'm gonna tell you right now. You can hardly block him. He's tall, rangy, so if we wanted to put him at corner, by God, he can play corner. He can play outside linebacker and play hand in the ground defensive end. He can play inside linebacker. He's just an all around dude. So having him on defense last night made my life so much easier. And when I say versatile, I mean versatile because he can go play wide receiver, he can play tight end, he can play running back, he can play, like I said, on defense. So I mean, he's I wouldn't say secret weapon because everybody knows about him. So not so secret, but he is a weapon. We'll say it that way.
Yeah.
So big win, 2-1. I know that we're not going to spend a ton of time because Chuck and I on Tuesday night are going to start breaking down the next game because you're not going to say much about it anyway. But 2 of the traditional powers in the history of mountain football, Swain and Tuscola. Isn't that awesome to be at C.E. Weatherby Stadium next week to see these 2 programs get after it in the final I still call it almost the exhibition season, but the final pre-conference game. And you can't get any better than those 2 names. And if you don't come out and get ready to watch this one, then something's wrong with you. Swain and Tuscola. Wow.
Yeah, and we're looking forward to the battle. Obviously, I'll meet our coaches. We're going to meet up there with a big pot of coffee, mainly for myself, because I think I might be. Or Coach Chambers.
What kind of coffee are you taking, Jonathan?
Orchard coffee right now at the moment. I'm going to make another cup here in just a second. I may or may not stop by the local store at the same time. I'm a coffee person, by the way, but we'll start meeting on Swain in 15 minutes. I mean, genuinely. So that's the good part about our staff is they're just as hungry. Like I said, we're going to get on that. We'll be here for however long it needs to be, and make sure we get our kids in the best possible situation they can be in, game plan wise. It's just, to me, man, there's just no better time of the year than right now. Starting to finally get a little crispier in the air. Fall's starting to come. Game plan in football. Friday night lights. So it's going to be fun at CU Weatherby Stadium. Hopefully we get a good crowd, which I say hopefully because I know we will. We have a great home base. And kind of side note from last night, I don't pay attention to the crowds much, but it almost looked like we had just as many as they had.
Yes.
Like our fans, we travel. My God, we travel well. I mean, genuinely, I know we always have, but just in general, I mean, we're out there for pregame warmups a little over an hour before the game, and our fans are already out there cheering everybody on. Like that's awesome to see. I mean, it really is. So we're looking for a good old fashioned, what they used to say, slobber knocker at CU Weatherby Stadium, September 8th. So we're looking forward to it. And this week we'll be at 7:30.
Yes.
The MAC, where McDowell plays in the conference, they play home games at 7. So that was our 7 o'clock game. So this week we'll be at 7:30.
Okay. Now, Chuck, a lot of things that there's a lot of stuff behind the scenes that most folks don't understand. So, Jonathan, talk to us real quick. I've not even talked to you about this. I'm just going to kind of blindside you.
I was about to say, I wonder where this is going.
No, talk to us about your pregame meal and what your folks, what your moms, and what your people. That's a big deal. That's not a little thing. That's a big, big deal.
And I've said this to our kids before, like this saying, like, excuse me. Yes, they are just words, but they're not just words. When I say things about our community and excuse me, and our fan base and our players and our administration, but our team parents, I cannot say enough about getting team meals lined up, churches lined up to come give devotionals and have the food brought in, our post-game food after the game when we're at the buses with our drinks, the stuff that, like you said, you don't really think about logistically you have to do. The pressure they take off of me from not having to worry about that and let our coaches and our kids just show up. They'll never know how thankful myself and all of our team and coaches are, because they take care of it. And, Miss Blackburn, Miss Garner, Miss Kruger, Miss Brooks, and the list goes on and on of them just letting us know, okay, it's so-and-so this week. We'll be there at X time. We got everything handled. Like that, from my standpoint, makes my life so much easier. And I mean, our parents are tremendous. They care about every kid. It's not just their own kid. Making sure that they get our post-game food to the bus before the kids get there. Just the little things, like you said, that you don't really think about. So we have a spreadsheet that's sent to us with every pregame meal. Who's doing it? The contact form, the player's parent contact, the organization's contact that's providing the food. I mean, it's phenomenal. I mean, honestly. And I mean, I can't be more thankful to them for what they do for us. That's for sure. And then all the donations from parents for drinks, for just waters or Gatorades, during the hot weather games where they'll just come and drop a couple cases of water off for the kids so they don't have to worry about being hydrated. I mean, you can't ask for anything more from our fan base and our support staff and support system than we get.
Let me jump in here. That is awesome. One other thing I would love to see the Tuscola fan base is have two people step up to be full-time statisticians. You're gonna need.
No, we and here's the thing. This is what I've tried to tell my father. We have it covered. Y'all don't. Once again, it goes behind the scenes. Y'all don't know what we're doing. We're switching over systems. So when I get a text, I'm just going to stop responding to it about stats because we're switching systems. I understand y'all need stats for the game, but the reality is we're doing what we got to do, and we're not hiding information. We're not doing all that stuff. We're switching systems over. Our players' stats deserve to be out there, and we do have multiple people that do stats for us because they're tremendous at what they do. We're just literally in the middle of switching stuff that nobody knows about. So I'm going to say this live on air. I will, from here on out, I will no longer respond to the text about stats.
You're talking about me.
Yes, I am. Okay. Yes, I am.
Because you're talking about me.
You can't see that I'm looking right at you, but I'm looking right at you.
Hey,
you're in Studio A.
He just went Nick Saban on us. He just went Nick Saban.
All I need is the Coca-Cola, but so we'll do Orchard coffee sitting on the table.
Rat poison.
So, no, in all seriousness, no, we do have really good people that do our stats for us.
Right.
And getting them uploaded, it genuinely we are switching systems with how we do things from a whole standpoint of even watching film. And that's where we're trying to, the process will down the road be easier, and it won't be a multi-step process. It'll just be a one step.
Okay.
That's why there's a delay right now, because we're still trying to get everything implemented in that manner.
And that's a great question, Chuck.
Of Jonathan, just 1 second, and that is, it's to no surprise that you had it covered. So am I?
Well, listen, it ain't me. We've got I'm telling you, I have one of the greatest supporting staffs from administration all the way down that understand what's going on and what we need to do. And like it's not my ideas type stuff. So that's the part that I enjoy, is everybody's vision is about the big picture of the kids of every sport at Tuscola rather than just one. That's the beautiful thing, because it's the thing. What I'm talking about, we're switching is not just for football. It's going to be for every sport to help. Excuse me. To help every kid be able to get recruited easier with the click of a button, being able to have all these colleges essentially on email on demand, so to speak, for highlight tapes and this and that. Instead of trying to go through 4 channels to get highlight tapes out, now it's going to be a lot easier. So I said, it's not just for football. This was a big picture for every sport, which I love, because every kid deserves to be able to get the recognition that they need and want.
Got it.
All right. No more text from me about that. Okay. Look at Chuck. Look at Chuck. Chuck's like the guy that starts the fight, and then like that Homer Simpson thing, he's back into the weeds. But no, Chuck, to be honest with you, we've been going insane, because it's just the fact that we want to make sure that, look, we have a good time doing this, but when we do this, we want it to be right.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's great information. So thank you for telling us that.
Hey, and by the way, nobody else knows that. So now I'm not the CIA today. There you go, Scott.
But you will be in about 15 minutes.
You're right.
Well, again, I
right.
The thing with the viewers, and wow, I'm amazed. Let me say this about this show and what Chuck and I are doing on Tuesday and Thursdays. I can't, everywhere I go now, it's pretty amazing. And they're going, hey man, we can't wait for Saturday morning at 8:00. We're going to be there. And they love the fact that you're open, you're honest. Chuck's willing to ask the tough questions, and you're willing to answer them, or say, And this
And
is,
that's one thing that I would say is we're always going to, and that we're not hiding it, but we're always going to, I'm never going to talk personnel, obviously, injuries, obviously, or upcoming schematics. You know what I mean? And I think any good coach would not talk about those, but the previous schematics from that before, 100% free game.
Yeah.
So you're telling us that you won't give us a pregame depth chart or an injury report?
He's just going to drink his Orchard coffee at Crompton's Auto Mart.
Okay,
I'm out right now. I got to go make more right over there, but yes.
So a couple of things here real quick. Today at 4:00, at beautiful historic C.E. Weatherby Stadium, the Youth League Mountaineers are playing at home. And I know that, Jonathan, you'll probably be in a staff meeting unless I'm way off. Y'all are going to still be in a staff meeting. But it's going to be fun. I'm going to go over there and kind of represent for you and the program and kind of see what we got and see Mr. Palmer, Jonathan Palmer, who is family to us, and look at and check out the future Friday Night Mountaineers. And for me, let me say this: I went over my skis about the tailgating. The road games, I can't do it here. There's no way, because by the time I'm ready to leave for a road game at noon.
You listen, everybody. Y'all got to know my father. We're going to show up to the game. I'm just making up a time here. Say it's a 7:30 kickoff. We'll be there at about 5:40. He'll probably be there as school traffic's getting out at 3. It's always been a running joke in our family, my sister and brother-in-law. And now you've got my niece, Avery, involved. Now it's like it's a race to see who gets there first, and they talk smack to each other, or Avery talks smack, we'll say it that way, about beating her papa, my father, to the game. And it's really funny. So I know road games, when we pull up, he's already there.
So anyway,
read this. Hold on, just read the last comment. I want you to read the last comment real quick from Brian Smith, aka my brother-in-law. He has not managed to beat your sister and brother-in-law yet. Challenge accepted.
Okay, so Friday for the home game for Swain, we're going to have a big blowout down here. Hopefully, you can start eating around 10:30. I'm thinking, and if people want to come and bring some sides and help, let me know. But I'm going to do a big blowout. We're going to do pulled pork and ribs, and we're going to start cooking. I'll start cooking Thursday night about 10 o'clock because we're gonna have a big blowout for all the home games down here. So just want to make sure that people know that. But the road games were I was over my skis. So I apologize for the last 2 weeks.
Well, but, I do want to say one thing before we go, though. Talking about statistics. Okay. There will not be a JV game this week. Swain being in the Smoky Mountain Conference 1A, they don't have one. Couldn't find an opponent that didn't have a bye week, all that stuff. So the next JV game, please just come out and support. If y'all want to see electric football, guys, we threw for 356 yards on JV. 356 yards last week. Right? Legitimately. 300. And I'm ask you two this. I want to see what your number would be guess wise. Number 22, Isaiah Hyatt, slot receiver. How many yards do you think he?
I'm gonna say he got half the yardage, about 165 yards.
Okay. What's your guess?
140.
So we're going Price is Right rules here?
Yeah.
All right, then Chuck wins. He had 300.
He had 300 of the 356 yards?
Guys, we're electric. And it's not just him. I'm not saying just him. The freshman class and the 10th grade class that are the JV team have bought into our system in that sense. We have a very electric quarterback. I can tell you that. We can go, the good part with our JVs, we can go 5 wide, right? We can put 11 personnel with a tight end. We can go 2 tailbacks in the game. We can change our personnel up and run almost any formation because those kids are learning football. And every week it's becoming more and more fun to watch them. So please come out and support our JVs and just watch the future of our program because we are going to be good. We have a good upcoming class. We got a 8th grade class right now that's rising 9th graders next year. That's going to be good, especially up front. So I encourage you, if you can, please also come on Thursdays to watch those guys and support them. Because I'm going to tell you, Coach McCracken calls a hell of a game on Thursdays, and it's fun to watch. It is.
And the thing that people probably wouldn't realize, since you spoke about that, is I think 4 of your young men that are starting on defense on Friday nights are JV or freshmen or sophomores.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I mean, and
so you put those kids on Thursday night.
And this thing, we're trying to win now. I'm not dumb. We're trying to win now. By God, we're also developing, keyword, developing and building for the future. And they're learning football, not just doing what they're told. They're genuinely learning, which is it's fun to see. It's so fun to see. So Thursday nights, telling you guys, you're missing something if you're not showing up.
Got it.
Absolutely. So Chuck and I will be back Tuesday night at 7:30 with the David and Chuck show. We're going to break down a little bit more of the McDowell game. We're going to talk about the Swain game. We're going to go through the Mountain 7 conference because this conference is tough, and it's going to be a slobber knocker every single week once conference play starts. We're going to and then we'll talk a little bit about our $100 that Chuck and I sweat out everything.
Y'all giving away $100?
No, it's our future bet.
Oh, I was about to say, y'all giving away money. What's up?
Nah.
So anyway, we're going to get out of here in just a second. Chuck, any final thoughts?
Yes. If you're looking for a car, come to Crompton Auto Mart. Check out what you got on the lot. And if you would, stop into our official Jonathan Crompton show sponsor, Orchard Coffee. Tell them that you saw this on the show. This is excellent coffee, and I heard they got some incredible pastries. So stop into Orchard Coffee and let them know that, thank them for being a sponsor for this show.
And we will see you guys. Chuck and I will see everybody Tuesday night. And good win for the Mountaineers, 2-1. 2-1. And so got to get her done, get ready for Friday. So see you guys later and have a good week. God bless you. Chuck, stay on.